When it comes to an interview, do you have a go-to piece of advice that you usually offer to your clients in terms of how to nail it?
Work with us.
I love it.
Aside from work with
Yes,
us, I love that.
They're already working with you is the point. But yes, please, everyone, work with the prep
Yes.
talk.
Take it away,
I'm
Nicolette.
begging you, please do not just show up to the interview.
Yeah.
Like, please do not just walk into that interview hoping for the best. I still prep with Alicia when I have job interviews. I applied for a job a year ago and we worked together and laid everything out. So what Alicia and I do is we make sure that we have someone's resume and we help them come up with the top 5 most important things about themselves. So those are some experiences, it's strengths, and then we help them come up with a weakness. And once we've come up with all of those things, we come up with the talking points, buzzwords, different things that we think somebody who's interviewing them would want to know. And then we teach them how to apply that so you can actually manipulate any interview question to using one of these 5 things. So when you go into your interview, it's like, instead of having your 1 million life experiences, like I said before, and you're trying to pull from those, you have these top 5 things. And we've already nailed in all the talking points and you're confident in applying those to any question. Yes, then people say to us, well, I have a bunch of other stuff on my resume. You should be able to speak to that, but you can still draw back to those greater experiences and strengths. So you know that you're delivering content that whoever's interviewing you wants to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. This had me thinking. I haven't applied for a job in forever. I'm very happy in my full-time job, but I'm getting PTSD thinking about the interview process. But I'm curious if this is something you would still agree with or if this is sort of outdated advice. But I remember back in the day, I used to get told a lot when it comes to buzzwords, reading that job description and seeing some of the key language that they're using and repeating that back or using that in your interview when you're talking about your experience. And they used to say that was a really, quick way to make sure you're kind of hitting the mark. Would you say that's a good tip?
It can be, but also go to thesaurus.com.
Right.
It's going to be your bestie because if they're like, oh, she just read the description and is just spewing this back verbatim, it doesn't seem like you spent as much time preparing for it. Mm-hmm. And the same thing would go for a cheerleading audition. I would recommend the same thing. If there is a job description, take those buzzwords, maybe use one, plug them into thesaurus.com.
Sneaky but smart. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. And the other thing that I thought about a lot was when you mentioned strengths and weaknesses. And how to pick a weakness that is not going to throw yourself under the bus. I think one that gets commonly used is, I like to stay busy. I am just that person that always wants to do something. And they think that implies I'm a hard worker because I'm not going to be lazy. I'm going to be go, go, go. There's things like that where you kind of try to find a weakness that really isn't a weakness.
I wish more people would say what you say.
Everyone says they're a perfectionist, and Nicolette
it makes the
shuts
hair
her camera off.
I shut down. I completely
there's steam
shut down.
coming off her head.
Oh, do not tell me you are a perfectionist.
I can't stand it.
99 out of 100 of our clients have told me, well, I'm a perfectionist. I really need everything to be exactly what it needs to be. I'm like, girl, you're not going to stand out that way.
And then you see there's typos in their resume, and you're like,
spare me. Please spare me.
You have a good trick, but I don't know if you want to give it away.
Okay, yes, I do have a good trick.
I do like it.
So this was actually something I learned through pageantry and kind of like what you were talking about. Like, you don't want to give a weakness that's going to scare them away. So what I always say is you can start off with a fun weakness. So at Miss America, I was actually asked about a weakness of mine, and I was like, well, when I drive into the city, don't ask me to parallel park because it's not going to be pretty and it's going to take 3 tries. But in all seriousness, here's my weakness. And you start off and you build that connection by giving something that's lighthearted and it shows your personality. But people struggle coming up with an actual weakness, and one that Alicia uses that I love, and I think it's super relevant to people our age, is having a hard time saying no or just setting boundaries. So whether that's in your personal life or in your professional life. So you start off with the funny weakness, go into the legitimate weakness that's not going to scare them away, but wrap it up with how you're working on that weakness and how being in this position is going to help you overcome. that weakness.
Yes.
It's kind of a 3-step process if you're asked that question.
I like that. And because don't forget, interviews aren't interrogations. They are looking you up and down. They're listening to the words you say because they're assessing for corporate culture too, or team culture, the right fit. How are you going to mesh with everybody? So you need to show your personality too. Obviously, be professional and take it seriously, but you don't have to be so stiff.
Exactly. And that's what people are missing a lot in their interviews, is especially if you're applying to be a professional cheerleader, they need to fall in love with you so they know fans can fall in love with you. Yeah. So you have to showcase your goofy, funny, whatever it may be, witty personality. Yeah. But same thing with every other job. If the person that's interviewing you can laugh at you and get to know you or has something in common with you because of a joke that you made, then they're going to want you, regardless of what else you say, they're going to want you on their team.
Absolutely. You want to be able to, that 5-year-old girl who is looking up to you, give her that hope that I can do this one day too. And, that could be me, rather than making it feel like it's this thing that's completely unattainable. I mean, obviously you have to put a lot of hard work into it to get there, but you can, because, she reminds me of me, or that's who I want to be when I grow up. You know what I mean? You want to give that too, and not just Little Miss Perfect or proper all the time.
Exactly.
Okay. Sorry, that took me on a little tangent, but I just got all hyped up asking about that.